Artificial intelligence. It is a thing by some people's definition, and by other people's definition, it doesn't really exist yet, but the cultural zeitgeist around it has pretty much accepted artificial intelligence as a thing, as the name for the generative AI large language model things that we have currently. So that's what we are going to be using throughout this video to refer to things. So AI is a thing, and a lot of people use it for a lot of different things. Most people probably use it, most people who watch this probably use it for, the large language model or image generation aspects of AI, where you're trying to say, oh hey, I want to write an essay or something, and then you ask an artificial intelligence large language model to write that essay for you. Now, one day I was learning how to count, and I decided to ask an artificial intelligence not to do my counting for me, but to verify an answer which I had gotten. Now, I say I'm learning to count not in the way of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, it's more of a discrete mathematics type counting where you're trying to say, hey, if I have this many of this thing and this many of that thing, how do I figure out how many of this thing I actually have? Kind of. That's not a great explanation of it. Specifically, counting is learning mathematical rules that assist you such that you do not need to go one by one, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, to count whatever it is that you are counting. You can instead use various relations and multiplication rules and stuff and subtract things, a bunch of stuff, to figure out exactly how... Oh, hey, that's a person stuck in a block. Should we just okay, that was funny. We're just standing there ping-ponging this person back and forth. So the specific problem I was working on, and this will probably hopefully give you a bit of a better intuition for what I'm talking about, was figuring out how many 3-digit numbers are divisible by 5 or 4, right? And so, obviously, you could theoretically go through every single 3-digit number and count every single one that is divisible by either 5 or by 4, tally them up, and then you'll have the answer, right? But that's going to take so much time, and it's just not worth it, You want to try and streamline things. You want to streamline processes where you can, and make things more efficient. Now, I am not going to bore you with the details of how to do the counting, but I arrived at an answer, and so wanting to try and make sure that I had arrived at the correct answer, I said to a large language model, specifically whatever AI Bing uses for their search engine thing, the thing that pops up every time you use their search engine, essentially. Oh, did I get a kill? I did, but I'm going to fall into the void for it. Oh, one of those ender pearls actually landed, but I instantly jumped into the void. I should not have been moving. Now, I know what you might say, you use Bing, that's cringe, and I realize that it is cringe, but I'm not going to stop using it because I am stubborn like that. But yeah, I was using the Bing AI to verify my answer, and so I said to the Bing AI, I said, hey, Bing AI, what is the answer to this question? How many 3-digit numbers, 100, 101, 102, all the way up to 100, no, not 100, all the way up to 999 are divisible by 4 or 5? And Bing AI, it ever so lovingly came up with an answer for me. Bing said 359 is the number of numbers which have 3 digits and which can be divided by 4 or 5. And all of its reasoning was really good, was really sound, right? It had all of the various things, all of the steps involved. It gave all of that. The only issue was the answer it gave me was wrong. And I could see where it went wrong right in its explanation. You see, somehow it had explained it as every number from 100 to 999 is a 3-digit number. And so, when you figure out how many of those numbers are divisible by 5 and divisible by 4, you get the answer. Or divisible by 4. That's a good distinction. It's not and, it's or. So it can't be, it doesn't need to be all of the ones that are divisible by 5 and 4. So like 16, well, that's not a 3-digit number, but it's divisible by 4, but not by 5. So it counts, right? It's or, just in case you were wondering. But yeah, so essentially the AI said it's 359. And it said that because it did not count 996. Now, if you have a calculator, you might be able to verify right now for yourself. 996 is divisible by 4, which is curious, because that means that it must be included in the count, right? It's divisible by 5 or 4. 996 is divisible by 4. Therefore, it is one of the numbers that is divisible by 5 or 4. And it's 3 digits, right? 996. And so I said to the Bing AI, hey, Bing AI, what about 996? You kind of left that out. Why did you do that? And it said to me, straight-faced, it said, you're correct. 996 is divisible by 4. However, it is not a 3-digit number. And my mind was blown, because all my life I had been under the impression that any number that had 3 digits in it was a 3-digit number. And 996, if you know basic counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 996 has 1, 2, 3, 9, 9, 6, 3 digits. So it is actually in that particular grouping of numbers, of the 3-digit numbers. So I don't know how it managed to decide that 996 was not a 3-digit number, but it did. It just spontaneously decided that that was what it was going to do. And so I spent some time trying to convince it otherwise, because if a large language model, such as Bing's AI, is saying stupid things like that, people might wind up asking it mathematical questions, and it's not going to go well for them, right? Like, you want to make sure that people get the correct information, no matter what. And if an artificial intelligence tells you basic math things are incorrect, that's not good. So I said to the Bing AI, hey, Bing AI, 996 is 3 digits, right? Like, if you think it is not, if you think that it's not 3 digits, how many digits does it have? And Bing AI said, why, 4 digits, of course. Bing said that 996 has 4 digits, is a 4-digit number. And so I said to Bing, hey Bing, what are the 4 digits of 996? And so Bing AI said to me, that's probably not a good idea. I am going to jump into the void about it. So Bing AI said to me, 996 has 4 digits. The 4 digits of 996 are 9, 9, 6, and 0. Where in 996 do you see a 0? There isn't one. And so I said, hey, how did you get that answer? And Bing said, okay, here's how I got that answer. That answer is gotten by getting 1,000 times 0, and then 9 times 100, and then 9 times 10, and then 6 times 1, and adding those together. Which is technically one of the ways that you could represent 996. You could represent it as 1,000 times 0 and 996, right? That's possible. That's one of the options that you can do. But it's not really mathematically sound to say that because of that, 996 is a 3 or 4 digit number. right? That's not how math really works, you know? So for it, that person just had an ender pearl, okay, the entire time. For it to say that is just ridiculous. It's absurd. I don't have any idea why it would do that. Right? Like it's a technicality. Sure, you could argue that that's how that works, that's how that could work, but it's just not really correct to say. And so I tried to convince it and say, okay, well, by that logic, well, I mean, first of all, even though all of this is happening, it had already basically agreed with me when it said, oh, hey, all of the 3-digit numbers are everything from 100 to 999. So if I had just, included or like said something about that, where I'm like, oh, by the way, you literally said 100 to 999, and 996 is within that range, so why did you not say that that was a thing? Why did you not figure out that the number 996 is a 3-digit number? It's within this range. I didn't actually wind up saying that because I was too caught off guard by it saying that it's 4 digits long. But then I said to it, okay, well, if 996 is a 4-digit number, then any number you want could be written as a 4-digit number. Literally any of them. Like, what is stopping you from writing 7 as a billion-digit number? And so I used that example. That person fell into the void on their own. This is the second time I've won on this map in this video. So I then made a grievous mistake in saying to Bing AI, well, you could theoretically just write any number as any amount of digits. For example, if you wanted to, you could write 7 as a billion-digit number just by writing 0000000 over and over a billion times 7 at the end. And that's a theoretically valid way for you to write 7 from Bing's perspective. That's not actually a valid way to write 7. And it should make sense to anyone who actually knows math that that's not a valid way to write 7. It wouldn't be useful for us to say any digit can be, or any number can be any amount of digits. But for some reason, Bing did not actually decide to take my point to heart, and instead said, yes, that's true, and began writing out 7 as a billion-digit long number. It started writing 0000000, repeating 7. I had to stop it from responding before it crashed my browser or something stupid like that. That was, that could genuinely be a terrible thing. Oh, that person just teleported to me. I hit them once. Okay. I all I do is win. What can I say? I've improved so much. That's not true. That is very much a lie. It really would not have been as much of a problem if the AI had just said, oh, my bad. Yeah, 996 is a 3-digit number. But it just kept doubling down. It just decided that it was a 4-digit number and then never, ever allowed me to actually convince it otherwise. Eventually, I just stopped actually trying because it was completely fruitless, right? It was just unnecessary. If you're wondering, the actual answer is 360. It was off by 1. It got really close, which is kind of impressive, but it's still so frustrating that it was just adamant that 996 is a 4-digit number and not a 3-digit number. And a few days later, I did ask it, hey, is 996 a 3-digit number? And it wound up saying, yeah, 996 is a 3-digit number. So maybe it's fixed, but I doubt it. It's probably just going to crop up again sometime when I ask it another complicated math question. Don't ask generative AIs complicated math questions. Or simple math questions, honestly. This was a pretty simple math question, and it still got it completely wrong. But either way, that is going to be it from me for this video of Skywars. I hope you enjoyed, and stay safe. Goodbye.